My name is Joe Amditis, and I studied local publishers, and I worked with a community of local publishers in New Jersey. And one of the big questions that I wanted to ask people, and I started off with, was how do you get your news? And the answer that I got, and the answer that seems to be prevailing amongst most people these days, is from your mobile phone. It's pretty much where everybody gets their news. In fact, the studies show that 44 of the top 50 U.S. newspapers saw mobile unique visitors outpace their desktop unique visitors in 2015 or 2016. That's not just in how you get your news, but it's also the money, where the money is. So there's $31.6 billion being spent on mobile advertising in 2015. And the programs like The Guardian, The New York Times, The Huffington Post, and now this have been able to keep up with these digital trends and produce content and distribute it via mobile pathways, right? But the problem is local publishers can't afford this. It's very expensive. To build an app these days, that's an estimate of around $40,000 just to build something that's compatible with both iOS and Android. And then what happens is you lead to this kind of a mess where you have a news app for everything, right? Everybody wants to have the users go get their mobile app and go through and get their content directly through an app. And number one, it's gross. It's very cluttering, and nobody does that anymore, right? And that was the beginning. The statistics showed it at the beginning. We got to be where our users are, right? But the reality is it just doesn't work like that anymore, and there needs to be a more measured approach to mobile strategy that doesn't just include, let me make my app so that I know everybody's going to come through my app. And so, again, what about the local publishers? How do they approach this? How do they deal with these issues in reality, and while addressing the fact that they want to be on mobile too, and it's expensive, and there's a lot of competition for attention. So they want to be on mobile too, but how do I know this? Well, I asked them. I spent a year, the last year, dealing with about 150 local publishers from New Jersey, asking them what they need, what they want to do, how they want to do it. I used social media. I used a private Facebook group, Facebook Live, Medium blog posts. I wrote about 19 Medium blog posts and had conversations in the comments section, which is, of course, a lot of fun. I sent out surveys. I did event surveys. So I had like several events this year with the Center for Cooperative Media, where I work at Montclair State University. Oh, yes. The one person in the room, I appreciate that. I also did a lot of phone calls and emailing. So there's something I did called Phone Call Fridays, where I just decided to take an hour or two out of my day in traffic on the New Jersey Parkway, the Garden State Parkway. Whoa. And I would just call people. I would just call one or two partners and ask them what's going on, see how they're doing. I also sent out a daily newsletter every day as part of my job, where I get to comb through all the news and information that's going on in New Jersey, and I get feedback on that as well. In addition to that, I sent out 1 billion emails, right? Literally 1 billion, I think it actually was. And of course, after talking to these people for the last year, the two most prominent concerns were obviously mobile, but really money, of course. And so what I did is I went to the Dodge Foundation, and I managed to raise $20,000 to support the New Jersey Mobile News Lab, which involves 3 mobile experiments, where we're going to send out about $5,000 to 3 mobile partners, or 3 local partners, for them to experiment with mobile news creation, distribution, and consumption. Like I said before, not just your standard app, right? So some of the deliverables we had from this project was we had our 3 mobile news experimentation grants. We created the New Jersey Mobile News Lab blog, which, again, I said I wrote about 19 articles on and was still counting. We have sent out regular progress updates, and through the project that we've done with Carrie and Jan, we've had regular journal entries documenting my progress. I've also organized a series of trainings and workshops and other mobile-related events throughout the year, and I plan to continue doing that in the 2nd and 3rd phases of this project when I take it over fully at the Center for Cooperative Media. And of course, a regularly scheduled mobile innovation newsletter, because what project would be complete without a newsletter? Another thing to crowd out people's inboxes, right? So we were able to accomplish all of that. And as far as impact, we received about 15 applications, which I'm still mulling over now. And I'll be reviewing those applications, creating a short list of some of the best proposals, and then organizing a group. I've spoken to the Guardian Mobile Innovation Lab. They've agreed to be a part of this. I've spoken to a couple other tech developers and tech companies in the state and around the area, and they'll be reviewing the projects, sending them back, giving them feedback, and they'll be resubmitting so we can assure that they have the best product. We got 22 newsletter subscribers so far. Woo! We've had about 3,300 total blog page views. The most viewed post of all time had about 2,500 views, but it was about how to set up Facebook instant articles. Again, another aspect of mobile that doesn't exactly involve an app, but is still relevant. A couple of social engagements there, and we've had a pretty decent social media reach in the short time that the blog has been launched. Again, check. So some of the lessons I learned, and this is the important thing, these publishers, number one, are operating under an immense number of pressures. So most of them have been laid off, a lot of them have started their own business or their own publication, and they're going through a lot of things that they weren't always accustomed to, and they're having to utilize skill sets that they might not have to use, or might not have already developed over time, which leads to the number of hats that they're wearing. We're talking not just journalists anymore, they're now publishers, advertisers, salespeople, community liaison, photographers, videographers, you name it, the list goes on. And that's very important for you to remember. There's a lot of things that they have to worry about that's running around in their heads. Number three, this is actually probably the most important. It should have been number one. It's so important to reach out to people just to see what's going on and to ask them what's going on and not to sort of veer away from this transactional relationship. If you call someone only when you need something, it becomes a very transactional sort of deal. And I found it's very useful to just call and say what's up. And again, it goes back to this little phone call Fridays thing. I'm in traffic, want to call Kevin Coughlin, see how he's doing. Hey, what's going on? Oh, my site was hacked last week. You know, that kind of thing. So I just listen. And again, frequent contact is key, but you really don't want to overdo it. There is a line between annoying and useful and attentive. So you want to find that line and try not to cross it. And that is my project.